Okay, hope that woke everybody up. Okay, so welcome everybody to the City of Kingston Tree Commission meeting. Today is July 11th, 2023. It's 5 o'clock. We're going to get started. We do have a quorum. My name is Suzanne Cahill. I'm the planning director for the City of Kingston. Our office administers the Tree Commission activities. I'm just going to ask everybody, if you do have a cell phone, please silence it. I know we don't have a lot of people in the room, but it helps. And also, if you do have conversations, we just ask that they be taken outside of the room to be had, so that they don't interfere with the discussion. I'm just going to go around the table and ask the members to introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with our agenda.
Evan King, Tree Commission member.
Candy Day, Commission member. Anita Collins, I'm a representative from the Conservation Advisory Council.
Vince Archer, Tree Commission member.
Okay. Also, just so for everybody's information, we are live streaming and we are recording this meeting. So, and we're going to welcome George Profis. He is our DEC forester. So, just to get started, I wanted to just do a quick review of two of the tree applications. One is 1 to 5 Main Street. As everyone is aware, we did issue a approval outside of the commission proper due to the infestation. Thank you, Kareem, for offering your guidance on how to take care of that as they got rid of the tree, as they disposed of that. So just for everyone's information, that applicant approached me just shortly before this meeting, and they now want to amend their application. They want to come back and ask for the Clinton Avenue tree to be removed. We had authorized it to be pruned only. I told him that he would have to submit the documentation with his reasoning behind it. He is saying at this point in time that the roots are affecting his foundation. So it's a smaller tree. It sits at the outer edge of the sidewalk. His building is on the inside. Is it possible? Yes, but we need documentation in order for us to go any further with that. So he will be back before us. 144 West Pierpont Street, as you all saw, we did an emergency declaration to remove that. 2 days later, it fell on its own with a storm assist. So, that was unfortunate, but, it happened. So that one is pretty much taken care of. So the next one we have is 224 Fair Street. This is an amendment again to their original application. As you know, the applicant had originally came, I'm just gonna look at this equipment, but I'll still talk. The applicant originally came to the city and was asking just to prune the trees as they restored and repaired the sidewalk. After investigation, that was not possible. They needed to remove the trees, and then they were going to repair the sidewalk, but they were only going to remove 2 trees. Now they are asking to be allowed to remove all 3 along the Fair Street side, do the restoration of the sidewalk, and they will replant 3 trees. So that is their amended application. I had sent it around to everybody. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. I can see if I can pull it up on a screen share. It's not showing up, it's on my screen. I have to get rid of what's behind it. Okay, I'm not sure why it is not showing up.
You're looking at 224?
Yeah,
Because the one you sent out, the application only talks about two homeowners, not three.
they were amending it.
There's a permit for 2 tree already approved. Is that right? Because
Right,
the remove an additional on locust over Fair Street, disrupting sidewalk. One stump, approximately 6 inch below grade, and total number of trees to be removed is 3. Permit for 2 trees already approved.
right.
Yeah. At any rate, is 6 inches below grade an acceptable depth? I thought it was 12. I guess you can line it wherever you want. I don't know, it doesn't say where there's going to be, but even if they wanted to, because of the root structure, that. Usually they grind, people that I've used.
12 inches is the
12.
usual. It's still not deep enough to plant a tree on top, unless it's a very tiny tree that they're taking out.
I don't know this tree service either. Yeah,
they're very.
There we go. Fine.
hill tree keeper.
There we go. So this is to remove one additional honey locust over the Fair Street, disrupting the sidewalk. The 6 inches is what we had told them before.
We did.
To grade, grade it below to 6 inches, and then obviously, they would, in replanting, you would replant in a different, section of the sidewalk.
Have to.
Yeah,
That's the way you do it.
so this is, basically, that's what they're asking for. I don't know how the board feels, what the commission feels. The sidewalk does need to be repaired. It's a shame that they have to lose the trees, but.
So this service, hill tree keepers, they have certified arborists on staff.
Yeah, 12 years and hours. And I work with him in different projects.
Okay.
It's very much about keeping the tree as much as we can, so that I feel like by the experience I've working with him, I can trust his judgment. And then somebody don't know, question it, but I know it's very much into like keeping in trees that you can, in any situation you can, so. He's based in New York,
Yeah, I see that.
but he does us working.
Comments, thoughts, questions?
The only thing is, I think honey locusts, or locust trees in general, they have a tendency to run.
Do we know what they are proposing to plant instead?
I'm sorry?
Do we know what was our trees? It says going to plant 3 other trees.
No, we don't.
So are we going to submit the planting applications after remove the tree, or like it's supposed
It
to?
should be part of it.
Yeah, it would be part of our decision, and it was for the first 2, that they replant 2 to replace those. So it would just be that they would replant another. They did ask about our planting program, and we've already told them that our funding is already spent. We've received more than we can really accommodate. There's a lot of people out there that are looking for trees to be planted, which is a good thing. So we are going to be asking for more money to be allocated in next year's budget. We may also, I don't know if it'll be successful, we've applied for the grant to get another person, an urban forester in the, for the city of Kingston. So if we are successful with that and are able to, get somebody in that position, then that person, I'm hoping, would be able to really work very aggressively to getting other grants as well, for more planting and pruning. I'd like to really focus a little bit on pruning some of the trees along the streets, so that we can, maintain them and keep them healthier and present longer. So anyway. So I need somebody to make a motion, or if there's no more questions.
I propose a motion to remove additional tree and with the 3 additional tree planted in a different spot on the property and following the standard procedure.
Okay, so there's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Kareem. Any other questions? All in favor? Okay. Okay. So the next item on the agenda.
Is there wires? The room is there.
I assume they did all the appropriate procedures with safe digging and to ensure that.
Is it possible for them to submit, just let us know the type of tree they will be planting before?
I can ask for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would, yep. We would certainly, in the letters that go out, we provide the list of trees, the acceptable trees. And we do, just for our inventory purposes, ask them to let us know when they take the tree down and then when they plant it. So, but I'll confirm the species.
So if it's a space for medium-sized tree, medium-sized tree. It's not.
So that's not always
If there's
the
space.
thing to do. Replace a large tree sometimes isn't always the way to go if the large tree obviously shouldn't have been planted there in the first place.
That's why I said medium.
Yeah, yeah.
Depends on what's out there.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is 96 to 100 Manor. Vince, you'll be familiar with this. This was a result of a planning board review with the applicant. So this is a project on Albany Avenue in Kingston at the corner of Roosevelt and Albany Avenue. There's an existing mechanical garage, and there's vacant property next to it on Albany Avenue side between that and the UARC over there. They are proposing to build a second structure on the vacant lot next to them. They're closing off one of the curb cuts on Albany Avenue due to the traffic issues that are being experienced at the intersection with the new light. And they want to put a new exit only out to Manor Place, which is behind their property, to allow the vehicles to exit out and then to turn onto Roosevelt and come out at the light so that they use a signalized intersection to cross the traffic lanes, rather than trying to jump across 2 lanes of traffic that are generally busy or backed up. So the planning board has an approved plan, and then, in the back there is a lot of scrub that the planning board told them they wanted removed. But there is one tree that's in the public right of way. It's not in the greatest of health. They're dealing with Central Hudson at the same time. But the tree would have to come out in order for this, the new exit to be put in place. And they are planting new trees, new shrubs, and putting all new landscaping along Manor Place and on the site itself. So, the request is, based on that site plan review. They will be pruning several of the trees that are there on site that abut one of the residential, two residential properties as well. So those will get a good trim and clean up as well. So that is this application. Any questions?
So they need to remove the tree in order to create like the driveway to access like the lights?
Yeah, because there's a deed, it's an unusual situation, there's a deed restriction in the one property, so they can't exit directly to Roosevelt on that side. And because of that new light, the planning board did not want the curb cut that's there so close to the light to remain in place. So they requested that be closed off. And they can't exit, they want them to come out to Roosevelt, so the only real way to do it is to exit to the back and then just kind of turn the corner and go around to the light, so,
Yeah, it's kind of like a safety issue.
yeah. I mean, it's not big traffic, it's smaller vehicles, and it's a small shop, it's not like gonna be, 50 vehicles an hour, it should be a relatively small number of vehicles that exit. The exit will be gated off. There'll be signage, appropriate signage that it's not an entrance, so hopefully that will help.
You say the work will be done by the owner,
Yes,
so, I mean, this is just for insurance and all other safety. How do they insure that, and the state do they even have that?
as part of our standard conditions that go along with any removal, authorization, they're directed to get the permit from DPW if they're working within the public right of way, which they will be. And as part of that permit process, they have to provide the insurance naming the city as additionally insured to cover all of the work that's done there.
And how do we know, because right now, it really say the permit remove tree, but it didn't really, but if they say which tree will be removed. So my concern is,
It's on the site plan, it's the one that basically is where the exit is going to go.
We did a site review. Actually, I didn't go the same day. But it's not- I think it's pretty straightforward.
And you said they're gonna replant some trees on the site?
Yes, they're replanting that along Manor Place in the back. And there's landscaping on site as well, and there's some shrubbery and landscaping going along Roosevelt as well. So I need a motion. Okay, so I have a motion from Vince to remove,
With the tree removal, replanting, and normal conditions. For tree. removal.
Okay. Is there a second? Second by Evan. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. 137 Broadway. Hey, you want to come up to the table?
Sure.
Okay. remember, Philip was here last, time. Okay, let me. Get you up. I had sent George, had gone to the site and I had sent everybody, a copy of George's report along with Mr. Douglas's application. So, yeah, okay, so here. And this is why I like Kyle to be here. So, and show. Okay, all right, so there's his application, and along with the application, I had sent along, the report from George, which is also, behind you. And George, I don't know if you want to speak to it, or Philip, how do you guys want to talk about this? I'll let you, you're the property owner, I'll let you go first.
I'm just, the process that is going to be needed to take place is, I can't get my head around. There's so many things that it involves. But if we want to start with just these options that George has, they will touch on a few of those, I think. The not ideal one, I don't know, is this the way to go? Is this how to start here? I mean, I'm just so scattered.
You need to look at the different options. Think about them and make a decision.
Okay,
Well,
well, I mean, George, you were on site, I know you pointed out multiple options in your report, I've read through them, they're pretty standard. Obviously, you can always wait and see how things go over the next couple of years, but the issue here is obviously the sidewalk.
right,
Okay, the property owner, received a notification, right, from the city that the sidewalk needs to be repaired, that it is a tripping hazard. So he's under that, obligation to make that corrective measure. So how does he go about doing this? Is the sidewalk large enough to cut out and, dig around and reset? There's some pictures there that George had taken. If you dig out around the base of the tree and just redo the sidewalk, is the tree gonna survive? No one can guarantee, I don't know. You could shave some of the roots maybe back.
Well, you said the work was done like 2 years ago or something, I was asking when it was done.
what work? Which work?
That the.
Some of the wall work.
The wall, that was in 17.
Yeah,
That's more than 2 years.
oh, yeah, that's a lot more, I didn't think it was that long.
Yeah.
Because if it was 2 years ago, then there's a question. No,
Yeah.
because there is some dieback in the upper part, not major.
Yeah, the wait and see stuff is sort of like there's an investment in time and money, and then wait and see, and then there might have to be investment in time and money again.
Right,
And with all these options, there is that. Not that I want to push for immediate removal or anything,
yeah.
but
I mean, it's unfortunate when sidewalks like this are put in, they're put in right up to the tree. They're not giving the tree any chance
Right.
of survival.
yeah, and I don't
So,
really.
That, I think, if the tree maybe had a larger pit to grow in, might not be seeing the situation here now. I can't say whether that is true or not,
The
but
pit, the pit that it has now is 2.5 by 2.5, which
Yeah,
is
it-
well over
it's grown out
Well,
of the
it's like
pit side, yeah.
10 feet, square feet less than it needs. Than the rules, or whatever rules are. So
Right,
this all baffles me is when did those rules go into place? They put a tree in a pit or vice versa,
yeah, I don't
and they
know.
just looked at it and said what? They said, this is wrong, but hey, if it goes sideways, maybe somebody will buy that house up on Adams Street and we'll be able to have him pay for it. I mean, I could laugh about it, but it just doesn't, you
Yeah,
know,
It's-
this whole thing is, and you guys must be so sick of trying to defend this policy. It just must be a thorn in your side.
yeah, I mean.
Because it's got to be, I mean,
obviously-
who would know, or why do they assume that we have the means? And, I mean, my wife had health issues, had to retire early. I had to stop working to take care of her, and that was like 4 years ago. Last year, she had to go into a facility, wasn't paid for by the insurance to the tune of, well, like 17,000 of it. And now we get this, which is gonna end up about, I don't know, anywhere between 10 and 16,000, because there's all these steps involved. And also, I wanted to also, well, maybe getting ahead of it, but is it, I don't know who would know, but I think there's a gas line nearby. There's sewage, you can tell by the, or the drainage right there, which is a massive thing. There's a street light. So you have all these utilities that need to come in on their schedule and I guess give approval.
Yeah, what would typically happen is before you would even break ground, you would call it's a dig underground.
Yeah.
And you would have everything, they would mark everything out so that any contractor that you choose to work with would be able to identify where those utilities are. And if you're just pulling up the concrete slabs and trying to relay a sidewalk to work around that, I don't know the dimension that would be left. Do you think it would be, a wide enough dimension, George, to meet the, ADA? You say it says 4 feet, you think you could do it?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
yeah.
I mean, if anything, I'd like to maybe see just the sidewalk pulled up and maybe some new slab just relaid and leaving the 4 foot wide strip and allowing, and to see where that goes for a couple of years. Whether or not, there's funding available, I'd have to look. I don't know that the city has funding right now to assist with that kind of a sidewalk project in this area. That's the problem.
Well, you don't really have to, I mean, if you widen it, you widen it to around the tree and leave the 4 feet, well, then most of the rising is taken care of. And if you widen it down uphill and downhill the same way,
Well, there was just one picture up on the screen,
just by.
I don't know, or maybe that was the
Yeah,
picture.
the
Yeah,
picture that you had looks
Yeah,
looks a lot more extreme.
well, that's
I
what,
got
yeah,
that
that's.
down on my hands and knees.
Well,
But,
yeah, it's really not that high, well, you could put a ramp there.
Just like.
You could just put a cement ramp temporarily,
Okay. So
Well,
ramp it in.
the issue with the cement ramp is that if these weed poles are blocked, then I have a problem with the Department of.
Oh, no, the ramp would just be such that it isn't a tripping hazard.
Oh, you mean just shave it
Just-
or
just shave
put
it or-
extra there?
Yeah.
Well, I made a call to Pamela today at PW. And I said,
Okay,
yeah,
Pam Gibson,
I'm not sure. Macon, I don't know.
Mackie.
Matt.
Yeah, Gibson Mackie.
Okay, so, and she said, well, I'll send you over to, or talk to Ed and, but she didn't sound that enthusiastic about it. But she said, I'll need you to talk to Ed, and Ed wasn't him. So, and I don't have
Okay.
clear in my mind what that ramp would entail anyway, so, yeah. I mean, maybe that would be fine.
And we just create a ramp from the upper side and create a ramp from the lower side where you either put down cement or shade it down.
Yeah,
And you shed, so you shed down like the woods?
No, that wouldn't be moving the cement at all. That would be just leaving the cement as it is.
he's just saying, just causing a ramp from like here down to here or
And so we
something.
use the cracks the way it is.
This is still on a pretty, kind of an angle from the edge of the break to the
Yeah.
wall is an angle that they may want to deal with too.
Yeah, it didn't seem like that much of an angle to me, but I don't know, that's a,
Okay.
what
Yeah.
are the rules? What are the rules? you
Right.
know?
Right.
And, but the whole
All
thing
right,
is
so-
that you do want to take away whatever I wrote, 4 or 5 feet from either side of that tree.
Right, I would take
And
away
see
around
what
the base of the
happens.
tree, right.
That's if you wanted to keep it for now and see what's happening, you know? If that was your decision, you know?
Okay, why don't I ask DPW these questions? All right,
Okay.
and I'll share George's information, I'll share the photos, and I'll share, the possibility of doing ramping over the current sidewalk to resolve that heaving. And I'll also talk to them about removing around the base of the tree. And let me see what they say, and we'll come back, all right?
Okay.
I mean, I don't,
Okay.
I mean, there is a storm drain too, not too far away.
Right, the sun drain is right there in front of the tree.
It's right there practically, so you have all these other issues that maybe they look at it from DPW and say, well, yeah,
Is that even an ideal for you to come to keep that tree, because there'll be more issues, and the tree might want to get.
Well, that's the thing, it's just like if the tree thrives,
DPW might just say,
I
take it.
might end up having to
Okay.
work on the wall again, and we,
Right.
at the time, were able to finally pay off the wall.
Can we say that if the DPW feels that the tree should come out and then the sidewalk repaired, can we say that the commission is agreeable to that? If they say that they can try the sidewalk repair and see where it goes, that's what the commission will be satisfied with?
I'm a little concerned about his concern because that's like a Band-Aid. Right? I mean, you don't know.
Doing the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree,
you don't know how long
agree.
that Band-Aid's gonna-
And I think that's what Evan was saying with all the other utilities that are there and
You know,
the existing
like
storm
over there,
drain.
Get the storm drain.
Right,
it just brings a little more water to the tree
Yeah.
so that the roots, wherever they're going underneath, are not gonna start up,
Although they haven't accessed it
but they can go.
with the parent,
But the way they were cut behind the wall, because the roots were coming up behind the wall, they'll start doing that again.
That was his concern, because it would start blocking the weepholes on the wall.
Yeah, you can't
The
do
root
it.
system will probably,
Well, actually, what happened is those roots started going up
Yeah, yeah.
behind the wall because the wall was porous and had water and stuff, so it normally doesn't happen. Because usually you don't have roots going up in the air, but in this case, they were.
yeah.
It's one of the roots that was behind the wall.
Right, and when you cut the roots, they'll sprout in the same direction.
Really.
So that's the concern, if we really save that tree and it thrives, then that challenges
okay.
the rest of the infrastructure.
Yeah, that's infrastructure.
The only thing that cement removal does is allow more moisture in.
Right.
And because
In
there's
another
roots,
place, so
going
that
that
they-
other direction,
Yeah.
so that would maybe compensate for it, but it's all a crapshoot.
Yeah, that is a
Because you can also like shape like the roots and also like the concrete blocks.
I don't think that would change the situation.
Well, that's where the question comes up, what's happening with that tree? Okay, it's been 5 years, It's dying back a little bit, but otherwise it looks pretty healthy. But then if you shave it,
You might make it, might as well.
You might- you might be just hitting the rest of what's left, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, okay.
And then the whole thing will start to go.
Mm.
Which that was a good answer, but.
Well, I mean, actually seeing those pictures, which I have not seen before,
You see,
I'm inclined to lean towards taking the tree out
Yeah.
because it's right
to
there.
avoid that. Yeah, I mean, those are pretty significant roots.
Yeah,
And I agree that, you know, the damage to the wall, I know what the wall damage was, and I know the cost of repairing those walls. And I would
we
love to
challenged
see
it and
that.
we lost, but it was an old wall too, so it wasn't conclusive that it was the wall with these. So we lost that case, we paid for the wall, but the tree continues to come back for a little more from us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, I've had it. I don't know if I don't know where I'm gonna get it. And if anybody has any suggestions, I'm all ears. Also, as this progresses, I think there's several steps. You gotta remove the sidewalk, get rid of the tree, put the sidewalk in. It depends. If we're just gonna get rid of the tree, remove the sidewalk, get rid of the tree, grind down, put the sidewalk back. There's still a few steps there. I don't know a lot of, and then potentially plant a tree. I don't know. It seems the city knows a lot more contractors, tree services. I know you can't, my impression is the city probably shouldn't suggest people to me. I guess that's out of bounds. But I need somebody to help me walk through this.
I think in the end, as far as the cost goes, you'll end up about the same.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and then there are delays and potential fines for blocking the sidewalk. During this, do I have to keep a 4-foot strip there?
No, I mean, that would be part of your permit. You would close this, I mean, you would need to close off the sidewalk to do the work. I mean, you couldn't leave it closed off for months on end. You would, you know, would be to do the work and then the sidewalk would be reopened.
Yeah, so now I'm leaning more towards that because on all these others, do something and then wait, you do need to have something. You know, I mean, it does stretch out the.
Whatever happens, just put your cost into the future.
Yeah.
And if you do it then, you know, if you do the, you know, the smaller version, it just puts your cost into the future.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And
that's
it's
what we should-
Broadway, it's where we do parades and marathons and all that. I never see it from my house. This isn't like a lovely tree-lined street where my trees in the front yard, just, you know, on a little strip, and I want to make a little more room, or I want to build an extension. I'm not gonna get anything out of this except for the fact that nobody's gonna kill themselves.
It's nice.
And the general, you know.
I mean, the street trees do have a value and.
No, I love street trees. But as far as, you know, I get as much out of that tree as I do of the tree across the street. Probably.
Okay, commission members, any?
So that's how far the roots reach the wall, the wall collapse, is it?
I don't know where that, if
It's
it
the
runs
one
all the way
that-
up there, I mean. I don't know what that
Yes.
is.
So is this caused by the root of the tree? I mean, this is the whole picture.
Yeah, that's-
You know what? I think you're looking at it,
Yeah, that's a Google.
wow, look at that. Let me see, because, no, my neighbor had
That's like,
part of his wall
Right.
down.
I think that's your neighbor.
That's the neighbor.
That's up there.
Okay.
Like I said, it's an old wall. We just had a little push, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, commission members?
Yeah, I think they're hearing back from DPW with the infrastructure, on the damage to the infrastructure, on like everything and planning, it's like, it doesn't feel to, to keep it and get into much trouble and people tripping and everything,
Okay,
you know. So can we see what DPW
okay, so I'll refer to DPW and get their feedback and come back. Okay?
Thank you.
I mean, the other thing that's not mentioned, would be that, it's kind of up to the city. I mean, if you think it's such a great tree, then you have to redo the sidewalk and widen the sidewalk, and do stuff that's like a major project,
Yep.
But it's also been damaged, it looks like a bit.
Okay, so Corinne's made that motion. Can I have a second? To refer.
Are we gonna do the pre-approval if the DPW come back, say?
We can do, you want to do it as pre-approval? If DPW says that we think we should go with the sidewalk, I mean, obviously I'll work with the owner at the same time. Or if DPW says they feel it should be removed for the betterment of the whole sidewalk to altogether, then that would be the solution. If you want to do it that way, we can do it that way.
Because, I mean, like, at the same time, I don't want
Okay.
Wait for like
to
2
come back
months.
again.
Hmm?
This way it's kind of speed up a little bit the process and because it's still a tripping hazard for people, so.
Vince, any thoughts on that?
You're gonna ask DPW about the sidewalk. Or the tree, which one, or both?
Both. I mean, if they say that the sidewalk repair with the ramping and just opening up the tree pit area is not a long-term
Yeah, 'cause
viable solution. That's like putting a Band-Aid on the sidewalk, then maybe the solution is
yeah,
to,
because that's
rethink
dry
it.
also, that's down dry
Yeah.
also right there, so that may be something also to do.
right, and again, I don't know if there's any damage to they might look at their storm sewer grate and look inside and say,
Yeah.
it's also being, destructive of our infrastructure, so that's problematic, so
Yeah, because
I don't know
we never-
what they might come back
Yeah.
with.
Because we never plant trees so close to it, right? River, so I feel it has to be, an issue.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion for the pre-approval from Evan. Now, is there a second on that? All right, Kareem is seconded. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Okay. All right. And would you send me those photographs
Yeah.
of your roots behind? That would be very helpful for me to share with the DPW
Great.
at Swell. Okay, I would appreciate that.
I do know that.
Okay. Great,
Okay.
thank you.
But I would guess that, because I remember DPW had the barriers up back in 2017,
Yeah.
that they already know what the situation was with the root structure behind the wall.
I don't know, it's a different, if it's different, DPW administration over there since from 2017.
And I think.
So maybe not.
I was dealing mostly with, we were, with the building safety department doing that. That's a clear, that's a.
Mhm.
It looks obvious that the roots are working its way up and down the sidewalk,
But I
the
mean,
way it's cranking and stuff, and the water, the fact that it's cranking is bringing water to the roots.
if that was
That's why replacing that sidewalk would just seal off the roots. So that probably wouldn't help the tree much.
No, that situation has been that way for a long, because I used to work that. It's been there for a while.
I think I looked at that tree.
Building safety, so that would be Steve Knox, and I think he was there in 2017.
Okay, so we're going to move on because we've got more to cover here. Michael, you're on with us. If you want to, do you want to turn your camera on?
No, this is next.
Right.
There, I can see you.
Oh, no, where is that?
I don't know why he's not showing up.
Yours is fine.
Michael, do you want to try talking?
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you go. Okay, now we can see you.
Okay, great.
All right. So, Michael, do you want to just share? I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to pull up your application. Hopefully it'll come up. Okay, there we go. And if you want to just talk about what you're interested in doing here.
Sure. So I submitted this application and inquired about planting a tree along the sidewalk where my property is because I'm a pedestrian and a cyclist. And actually, I'm quite concerned about the canopy coverage, not just in my neighborhood, but across Kingston. And so I inquired on the Tree Commission website to see what sort of canopy study was done, and saw the 2018 study showing where trees are and where trees are missing. You know, Midtown, not surprisingly, came up as needing trees. However, even where there are trees indicated on that map, it doesn't actually reflect the experience as a pedestrian or a cyclist in terms of the shade and tree cover. And so I am on Murray Street. I often use Delaware Avenue. I often use Hasbrook. I often use Jensen. And the entire path is fully exposed to the sun and has heat island effect. So I thought, what can I do to contribute to the tree canopy project and the needs in Kingston? And so submitted this application, not knowing if it's technically feasible to put in a tree. Of course, if it is technically feasible to put in a tree, I'd like one that is climate resistant to heavy flooding and also highly arid conditions when it's very hot. So that's why I submitted this application, not really knowing whether, you know, it fulfills the technical specs.
So, as you're aware, I mean, obviously the city does have a tree planting program. All of the funding for this year has already been, probably, we're overextended. We've got more applications than we can handle. And our monies would not, provide for creating a tree pit, so to speak. So that would be something that you would have to be willing to do that, to make preparation for a planting. Minimal sized tree pit, what's the width of this sidewalk? It's hard to tell on the photograph, the Google photo that I pulled up. It looks like it might be 5 foot wide, or is it 6?
I don't know. That's probably something that could be measured on Google Earth, but I would say 5 or 6 feet perhaps. But that's very illuminating what you say. I guess there's a larger consideration here, which is this is the public realm and it's the public right of way. And I don't have the resources to make a tree pit. So if the city of Kingston, as part of its mission and Tree Commission mission to create more canopy, can't offer that, then I guess that's not something that I can pursue on my own at this point.
Okay, yeah, I mean, right now, what the city is doing is, as we're going around, we are doing road reconstruction projects. I'm sure you're well aware, throughout the city. And they're starting, you know, with some of the main thoroughfares. And as part of all of those projects, we are, they're coming through the Tree Commission and we're working with them to put trees in, rather than, you know, we're trying to encourage them not to take them down, but to leave the ones that are there, work around them, and then add to that canopy. So that's been happening. I don't know if there's anything, you know, on your street being planned. I know the next one that they're looking at is Foxhall and Flatbush. And doing that roadway over, and there's a lot of plantings proposed there. So it is in our wheelhouse to, you know, try and encourage this, you know, and like I said, as far as the Tree Commission, We get limited funds as part of the general budget, general fund budget. George, with any of the state funds, would that, if the city were to make application for planting, is that a viable expense to prepare, like create like tree pits?
Yeah.
So that could be part of a cost. Obviously, it would mean less plantings, but it would certainly open up an opportunity that might not otherwise
Creating a
exist.
viable tree bed. and-
Right,
and,
okay.
Tree bed would have to be at least, to the minimum.
Yeah,
3x3, 4x4.
4x4, I would say is the minimum, right? So that's why I also asked about the width of your sidewalk, whether or not it would even be possible, because if we did open up a tree pit there in front of your house, 4x4, what sidewalk area would be left to, would have to be a minimum of, 3.5, 4 feet for ADA standards.
It doesn't look like it, it's like 5 feet.
Yeah. So that's the other problem, is that if we were to do work, we have to make sure that we maintain the ADA access through there. We can't just open up a tree pit and plop something in.
Can it be offset a little into like the properties, like it can be like 2
It
feet?
could be, yeah, I mean,
Like I feel like I'm.
the other option is, for him, it looks like he has a small side yard. Under our program, our planting program, we can plant on the inside of the sidewalk on your property within 20 feet of the curb. That's an option. It looks like you may have a small side yard there. I don't know if there's enough room to plant there, but maybe you could think about that, if that's something that might be agreeable.
Do you mean on the left side of this image?
Yeah,
Yeah, potentially, yeah, there's a driveway and on the right side of the driveway, potentially there could be a tree put in. Yes, should it be allowed, I don't know the rules, so if it is allowable, I would be glad to plant it on my property.
so that might be really the only option, because even like like George said, if we did get funding, we'd have to do minimal pit of 4x4. And if you've only got like a 5 or 6 foot sidewalk, that's not gonna leave enough access sidewalk to pass through with an ADA acceptable dimension.
East and west.
I see. Yeah, I think probably there isn't enough room on the sidewalk then.
Okay, so what I would recommend, I can move this to the list of street tree plantings, and I'll make a note on it, possibly plant on your property. And we can we're keeping a running list, even though we've got more than we can accommodate this year. So hopefully we're gonna get funded next year, and we'll work off of that list to start and then accept more. But at least I can get you on the list. We'll take a look at it. We get a lot that we don't plant because they're not viable plantings areas. So I can get you on there if you want to do that right now.
Yeah, I suppose there's no harm in doing so, right? Somebody will just come by and look and see what's feasible and propose the type of tree that might go in.
Yeah, so what happens is, as we go down the list, we check and we see if they're suitable plantings, and if they're suitable, they get funded and they get planted. And then we work our way through the list. And when they're not suitable, we just contact the property owner and let them know. It's not something that we can do with our funds. But as we work our way down, we get to you, we'll go out and take a look and see if we can, do something. And if we can, that's great. If we can't, well, then so be it.
That sounds good. And then just to note on the funding front, I had sent Emily Flynn some information to the Complete Streets Advisory on canopy funding that's available through the USDA. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I sent some details about it. There's $1 billion in that federal funding pie, and communities can apply for a minimum of 100,000, starting at a minimum of 100,000. So obviously somebody within the city of Kingston would need to put together that application.
Yeah, I think the USDA funds are the funds, we did submit a grant under that. I don't know where that is at, though. But that was the forestry grant, right, George?
Yeah.
The USDA. We submitted for an urban forester for the city of Kingston. To have someone who has the background and, you know, the experience and the knowledge to really run this program the way I would like to see it run.
Well, that's great. Fingers crossed that it is approved.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. I'm gonna put you on the other list. I'll pass this on to my coworker Kyla. And we'll get you on that other list.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity to meet with the commission. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Okay, so let me stop. Okay, moving along. I've got more.
The DEC went for planting, but you don't want to go there right now anyway. You're barely getting over your last one. You know, that's due August 6th, I think, to August 21st.
Yeah.
But if you have enough problems finding places to put trees, period. You know, everybody wants one, but it's all.
But they're not, right, they're not, right, they're postage stamp holes that we can't plant in, unfortunately. I mean, it would be, yeah, it would be great if we had super wide right of ways, but we don't have them.
Yeah, I think I was up to a couple of like 2 or 3 years in place and how looking for places to put this.
I have a couple more. I have 93 St. James Street. So I made some copies here. These are. Let me take a look at these. 93 St. James is a referral from the Department of Public Works. We had sent out the DPW to look at a different tree, and this one, he identified. It's on the corner of Pine Street and St. James Street. And it is pretty dead. His recommendation is to remove it.
I have the sidewalk planting.
That was DPW recommendation?
Huh?
So that was DPW?
DPW, yeah. Yep.
You know, is the owner.
Did we notify the owner? No, these just came through, so.
And since. See, like there's a comparison with the other trees, you know, like sometimes they early season, but the other are full. And this one is.
Yeah, I don't even know, I mean, a pruning would not. It should be pretty all leafed out by now, and as you can see, it looks like it's, maybe got, maybe a fifth of its leaves.
Do you have like gypsy balls or any of those other things? No.
He did mention that, and, you know, that he didn't see, I think if you saw that, he would have mentioned,
Yeah, plus they have prefer maples.
yeah.
And the other ones look okay in the area, so
Yeah.
it's. That would be a lot of things.
Need some motion or any questions?
We narrow the street.
It sounds like 10 feet. 10 feet.
Let's widen it up. We narrow a lot of streets in
And
Kansas.
another,
Especially the one-way
We
streets.
can ask, on this one, I would probably send the information with the Memorial Tree Fund, to help them, assist them to remove the tree. We typically do, we know we actually, Memorial Tree Fund has, given quite, a few of the grants already. We just gave another one the other day with a person. Unfortunately, it cost that individual $4,000 to take a tree down. And the Memorial Tree Fund did help, give them some subsidy to help offset that cost. Wasn't a lot, but every little bit helps, that's a lot of money for property owners to absorb. And tree companies are not getting any cheaper, we're finding. And they're hard to get. So, anyway, all right, so on this one, can I get somebody to make a motion or recommend or what? Okay,
I don't know, if there's a space to plant something else, not like.
so I will put remove with the standard conditions, and I will also send along the Memorial Tree Fund info. And the standard conditions include replanting, removing, the stump below grade, that kind of thing. So it's all involved. Is there a second on that?
Also,
Okay, Vince is a second. Any other questions? All in favor? Okay. Okay, we're not done. Sorry. These all come in last minute. This is another one that came through recently, and it is 189 Fair Street. And this was one that we, originally, this is the one I had sent Ryan to take a look at. He feels that it is healthy. It's a locust, honey locust, but he believes that, it should be pruned. So I'm just asking the commission for, based on the complaint, the DPW's investigation, that we send a letter to the property owner asking them to prune it.
we recently received, I don't know, at least I received the letter from Central Hudson. And they are talking about they will, in the next few months, they will start. I mean, I think for now, they start like pruning all the trees,
Yes,
past like,
yeah.
facility line.
There, probably about a third of the city of Kingston residents got that letter. And we do have the maps in our office of where they sent the letters to. I know just because you got a letter does not necessarily mean you're gonna prune, because I got a letter and I don't even have a tree, a street tree in front of my house. And they're on the sides, but not on the front. So I'm not, they're going, that, we can't stop them.
Yeah, but
I
I
know,
get,
Ned had brought that up to us last.
Yeah.
She got it.
Yeah, they gave quite a few out.
so like, I'm just like wondering, like, is, if like they prune it and like they remove it, like, I'm just saying like.
Well, I think if some of the trees were pruned regularly along the streets, then Central Hudson wouldn't be doing such a rough job on a lot of the trees. Because Central Hudson is not focused on the tree structure, shape, and form. They're focused on clearing the area of their lines, and that's all that they're concerned about. You know, if the tree becomes unbalanced because they cut, you know, the left side of it off, they don't prune the right side to try and balance it, to try and save the tree. And that's, you know, where getting somebody there to do a good pruning job might help preserve that tree in the long run.
So it seems like there's two trees, what is the text?
It's one tree.
Because it's mentioning also like the large maple between 177 and 185, that also like it's even more fighting.
Right, but right now we're focused on this one tree.
One at a time. Maybe we can have a discount for
Yeah.
everybody, the major.
Right now, right. We don't have the, I don't have the information on the other tree that he identifies here, one between 177 and 185. That he's getting me. All I had, we sent him out to look at this one, and
Yes, so
Yeah.
there's
so I would like a motion from the commission to direct to prune this tree.
I make a motion,
Okay.
the tree based on the standard procedure.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor. Can I have a second? Karina seconded. Thank you. Any other discussion?
That was Fair Street?
This is 189 Fair.
Yeah.
Yep. All those in favor? Okay. All right, takes care of that. Okay, here's another one. Okay. I'm just gonna put this out, this is the survey. This is a property survey. It does not show the tree. There's a tree right in front. I'm gonna have to pull up this and put it up. This is an individual looking to remove a tree in their front yard. I just got the application in today. I don't know that there is, let me see here. Okay. Right.
When you say front yard, not, it's within 10 to 15 feet?
It's like right on the, hang on, I'll pull it up.
Oh, I know this guy, Kenny. Kenny.
Yeah, this is actually Kenny's daughter.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got it up on the screen. And that's her application, and these, let me just flip this. This is the tree. And the reason that they want to remove it, obviously, you can see, they've paved pretty much all around it. She's looking to take all of that pavement out. That's one of the reasons I asked her for the survey. I said, well, obviously, you know, you've got to be careful. She wants to replant that whole front area. I don't know, with grass or shrubs, things like that. The tree is healthy, in my opinion. I did tell her that I wanted really to have somebody look at the tree that is a professional arborist, and evaluate the tree. She said that it has dropped some branches on their roof. And that's, you know, that concerns her. It's a very large tree, I understand that, but, a couple, you know, it could maybe be worthy of a pruning, rather than a takedown. And if she's going to truly open up all of that paved area around it, I mean, that would be the best thing for it, you know, to help preserve it. So I'm inclined to table this and direct her to get the professional to look at it before any action is taken.
So what was the reason to remove the tree?
I'm sorry?
What was the reason for the tree, just like some leaves falling?
Well, I guess it dropped a couple of limbs. I mean, it's an older tree, I mean, it's a more mature tree, yeah. But it's really, I don't see any signs, of it being unhealthy. Now, this just came in, so I really haven't had a chance to get out there and look at it up close. But I think that it's, I wouldn't make a hasty decision to remove this tree, based on a couple of limbs
Right.
falling.
Yeah, and especially if she removes also asphalt, it's gonna be better on just like, so that participating to the healing stuff. And there's no utilities or anything, so.
So I don't know if the commission has any thoughts, other questions?
What kind of tree?
Sugar maple, I believe.
Oh, it's a sugar.
But 20 would be good, just to kind of remove the dead branches. And do an assessment of the tree at the same time. It's fine.
The commission have any thoughts?
So that tree is right on the street, it's right in Cadden, Blacktop.
Right.
Pretty close. I'm surprised nobody's ran into that. I don't know, it's an odd spot.
That's
It's a very strange spot. On First Avenue, I don't know if anybody's been down there. I don't know how the city plows it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you look at the one, I don't know if I can get in
Yeah.
on it. Just gonna, I don't. I'm not seeing where it's been hit.
No, it hasn't been, but it is in a precarious spot.
No, that's true, it's very close to the water.
Yeah, it's like. I don't think they have a lot of space between the tree and the house either. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
And it doesn't look like the canopy is really that much over the house. It was concern about the limbs. I don't know, could be.
So the owner mentioned like the limb drop on the street, on the road or on the house?
On the house.
yeah, limb dropped on the roof, yeah.
Then that will require pruning first, right? Because that's most of the people who do.
Yeah, I mean, I would think,
Unless it's.
I mean, I'd like, obviously some more documentation. I don't think that there's really enough that has been submitted to demonstrate that it should come down at this point. Other than it's just she wants to plant at the front. And I would welcome her planting the front in addition to leaving the tree. I mean, I think it's it's along the street, it's fairly significant stand.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that would be a good idea to have August.
Yeah.
And.
This is just the survey. So you can kind of, I mean, the tree is not identified on this survey, which is unusual because the survey date, I think, is in the 90s. So the tree was obviously
It was there.
there and was a significant, feature, which normally, when we get surveys now, we ask for trees that have over a certain DBH to be identified, and it wasn't put on this, which I thought was kind of odd. That's why I thought it would be, but
And Mike Patera usually does a lot of this, he did a lot of the surveys.
yeah,
And I would have thought he would do that. But
Yeah, it's not an old survey, so by any means, the tree. Okay. Okay, so what is the pleasure of the commission on this one?
I think if we had an arborist evaluate the state of the tree and recommend pruning as an alternative.
Okay. Is that a motion then, Vince?
Yeah. that's an
Okay.
option
So there's a motion to have an arborist take a look at the tree for an opinion, but our recommendation would be pruning at this point. So that's a motion. Is there a second? Great. Any other further discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Okay, great. Okay. So then, I'm done with trees. I have from Kyla. Kyla just worked up a very quick, list of trees and locations that we're gonna be planting.
to- I have
we-
one quick one to add to that. I was talking to Andrew Williams
Okay,
from the Community Center.
okay,
He requested if we could plant a tree going up Asbury Park. There's a building there on the right.
uh-huh,
They cut a tree down. He said it provided a lot of shade for that little area there. Where he has some of
okay,
the kids going there, so he was asking, I said, I'd bring it up. I don't know what the deal would be for that.
okay, well, I'll have to look because I don't know if Kyla is aware of that one. They didn't reach out to us.
No, I talked to him about something different.
Okay, okay, so it's by the stone building, down at the,
Yeah, I think is it stone? Yeah, it's stone.
yeah, they call it the stone building,
Yeah, the
where
stone
they,
building,
yeah. Mhm.
I was
Okay,
talking to him about something else that
okay,
involved the kids with a guy that has a donkey thing. Service.
okay. Well, we're getting quotes right now. We sent out, a request for quotes to Augustine's, Herzog's, Berardi Landscaping, Ironwood, and also to Manza's Landscaping. We got applications from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 19, 20. We have 20 applications exactly right now. We're figuring that, that does not include funding out of that. We have 20,000 in the budget. And the mayor, authorized 4,000 to be given to the Memorial Tree Fund to use for plantings in Academy Green. To replant trees that were taken out through storms at Academy Green. So that leaves 16,000, we're figuring probably about 13 we might be able to plant. That's what we're kind of guessing on in terms of the dollars. We'll see how the quotes come back. So obviously that shows you that we've got a lot more requests than we can fulfill. These are just obviously the requests that have come through. They're in order that they came through. So we'll start at the top and we're gonna have to go out and look at each location to determine suitability. And so we'll be starting that process, and then going, through the list and maybe, seeing how far down we can get. Okay, and I'll be adding that other gentleman on this list now too. So there's a really good response. You know, and like George said, a lot of properties, you know, they want trees, but they're just not, they don't have a spot to plant. And that's, you know, unfortunate because, you know, we try and do our best to put them, you know, in spaces, but we just can't plant and some of the, you know, the tree pits or the tree lawns that are a foot wide. We're not gonna plant a tree in it and, you know, it's unfortunate. So. So I wanted to share that with everybody. That'll be a fall planting, so looking forward to that. I don't have anything else. I don't know if anybody else has anything you want to add.
Well, you know that you have the, I think we talked about this, that the DEC is gonna get in October is gonna have a couple of $1 million more from the federal government.
Okay,
As a subcontracting organization, not as a pass-through organization from the federal money.
okay,
And that would be available for, municipality must have an existing management plan in place. And the funds are to be used for implementing the management plan. Or funds must be used for ash removal or replanting reimbursement. So it's pretty easy, so either one of them. And it has to be in, you know, what do you call it, disadvantaged areas.
right,
So if you have a project, you know, you have existing management plan and let's say you pegged a street like you've been doing, you know, that's in a disadvantaged area and stuff, and consider, you know, instead of doing it like as a street reconstruction, do it as a kind of a tree reconstruction with some street being moved.
okay,
You know, I'm just throwing that out, you know?
yeah,
Just to keep an eye out, that will come out in October.
okay.
They have 13.
So it's gonna be announced in October?
Yes.
Okay,
It should become available around in October, 13.5 million as a sub-grantee. So, yeah,
and when would the applications be due? Is it like a rolling, is it a rolling deadline, or is it a solid?
usually they have to get it out within 6 months of the federal grant, and the federal grant came out in
Okay.
April, so they'll announce it, and then there'll be a period,
Okay,
probably 2 months or
okay,
something like
all right,
that, you know.
okay, we'll keep our eyes open for it.
So, and there's always, there's money everywhere, really. And then there's pass-through grants, which might be available, I think you guys
Right.
talked to somebody about that. If some local place, some local not-for-profit gets the money, then we can apply for that. So,
Okay,
and the Arbor Day Foundation is going to be going for that too, so we can go to the Arbor Day Foundation.
okay.
Then there's the usual, did you guys get $1,000 yet for the tree planting, like that? If you're a tree city for 1 to 5 years, did you get that yet?
We haven't, no, we have not applied for that. I think we,
Well, that just came out that, you know, if you're a tree city for more than 5 years, it's, then.
that's to, yeah, but that's to do a.
Tree planting. Any New York communities that have been named a tree city for the last 5 consecutive years, through the Urban Forestry Council, are eligible to apply for up to $1,000 to plant 1 or more trees in a prominent publicly accessible location within the municipality.
Right, I think we applied for it once and didn't get it. Yeah, I mean, if I recall correctly, we applied to put one in at Gates Stadium by the pool. You know, not close to the pool, but, you know, in that they have some lawn area around it in the entryway, and that's what we were gonna do, and for some reason it didn't get approved. I don't know why. Yeah,
Anyway, but that's coming out again, that's
all right,
due by August 31st, so it's $1,000. It's an easy application, really.
Yeah, it was a
Maybe the
simple
pool was-
application, if I recall.
Yeah,
It was like a one-page thing.
Maybe the pool wasn't prominent enough or something,
Uh,
didn't have enough people go by or something. Some of the parks might,
Yes, ask for that.
so.
Yeah, I mean, that might be that's a good spot for a tree. I mean, that might be something we can look at. Okay,
I'm just throwing
Even,
that out.
even by the pool, I think they're excellent stuff too.
yeah,
There's no shade on that side.
no, that's why we,
Yeah, but it's only used 3 months a year or something.
July and August, yeah.
I don't know why.
You
But I
don't,
know they had a lot of applications.
Mm.
So maybe it's just a matter of just putting it in again.
the Hasbro Park is open longer.
Hasbrook is year-round,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, that's pretty, yeah, that's what would be year round.
And then they had the school right next to the playground. the school.
Well, I mean, it was by the pool, but the stadium is open year-round.
Yeah.
I mean, the stadium
Yes,
is active year-round, so I don't know.
So who knows, yeah.
Anyway.
No, that's fine, usually they tell you why, but they,
Okay, well, we'll look at it, I'm
Yeah.
looking for it.
just so you know it's around.
Okay,
And we had a thing on June 9th, on trees in Urban Heat Island and stuff like that, down in Yonkers and stuff, so I bought an article that I since wrote. It's a simplified version, it's like for a blog more. It's also
Okay.
more readable, actually. So if anybody wants a copy, it's here.
all right.
Basically goes into planting trees on streets for heat reduction. And how to, kind of parameters for doing that.
That's what that gentleman was absolutely, talking
Yeah.
about.
Well, that's the big thing now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, the street trees are nice. Okay,
A lot of this, it takes rebuilding infrastructure. In most places.
Anybody else? I do want to talk about the August meeting date. I'm not going to be available, Kyla's not available. So we are thinking about maybe the following week or maybe just postponing until September. I don't know what people's availability is for August. Well, I mean, think about it, if you, if something were to come up, obviously we'd want to schedule something.
Do you have anything?
I don't have any, no.
If it does needed, if there's a need, then we can.
If we do need to have one, it would have to be probably the following week.
What would it want to be?
Would be.
Just, I'm not familiar with you guys.
My calendar here, August.
Be the second week in August?
The 15th, it would be August 15th. Normally, we would have it on the 8th.
Okay.
If we were doing Zoom, it would be okay. So the 15th would be the following Tuesday. Or, I mean, we could look at, another date, obviously, if that didn't work for people, but that would be the date I would move it to. So if you want to just look at your calendars and let me know if that is a conflict already for you or not, then I can go from there. Okay. All right. Other than that, I do not have anything else. Anybody? Okay. Need a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
Okay. Erin made a motion, second. Vince, all in favor? Okay, we are adjourned at 6:31.
Let's do like urban forestry conference.